If you ever wondered what it's like living in Lake Worth, Florida, if that's the case, then this video is for you. Welcome to Lake Worth, Florida. This week we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of living in Lake Worth, Florida. My name is Ray Fernandez. I am with Living in Palm Beach, Florida, powered by eXp Realty. Welcome. If this is your first time to our channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button there over in the corner. While you're at it, ring that bell. What that'll do is that'll notify you each time we put out a new video. We put out new videos every single week. We talk about all things going on around South Florida, all things going on around Palm Beach. So if you're wondering what it's like to eat, sleep, and drink in this beautiful part of the world we call sunny South Florida, this is the channel for you. 16 years ago, my family and I relocated to here in South Florida, and we haven't looked back. Today, I truly find an honor, and my team truly finds it an honor to help people, perhaps like you, do exactly the same thing. So if you're thinking about relocating to here in South Florida, and you have questions, and you want to ask questions from people who have actually done it before, well, there's a couple of ways to get a hold of us. Down below is our email address. That is one great way. Also on the screen, you see our phone number. You can either call or text that phone number. Also, in the description and the comment section, probably two of the best ways to get a hold of us is that link. Click on that link. What that'll do is that'll help set up some time for us to speak either through a phone call or through a Zoom, whatever way you feel most comfortable. In any case, we have your back when it comes to relocating to here to sunny South Florida. We've helped so many people relocate this beautiful part of the world we call sunny South Florida, and we absolutely love it. So a little bit about Lake Worth. Lake Worth is in central Palm Beach, Florida. We are, Palm Beach County as a whole, we are part of the Miami metro area, so we are South Florida, and we are the most northern part of the Miami metro area. In Lake Worth, we are in the central part of the county, and a few years back, Lake Worth decided to split basically the town in half. So if you Google the population of Lake Worth, it'll say about 35,000 people. Truthfully, it's a lot larger than that, because what they did was they noticed, and you will see this in the area, a lot of the towns love to call their town something beach. And Lake Worth was just Lake Worth, which was named after a general back in the Seminole Wars way long ago, General Worth. So what ended up happening is, well, let us join that party too, and let's call the part of Lake Worth that is next to the beach, the beautiful part, the beautiful beach. Let's call that Lake Worth Beach. So if you're looking at a map of Lake Worth, you see it is actually quite a large area. Lake Worth Beach is just off the beach. So when you talk about the larger part of Lake Worth, area-wise, it is quite large. Lake Worth is 64 miles north of Miami. And it's, like I said, it's in the middle of everything, has one of the best beaches. The Lake Worth Pier is world-renowned. It's one of the, what I would consider, one of the top beaches here in Palm Beach County and South Florida. So one of the pros when it comes to Lake Worth, Florida it's the location. Continuing on where it is just a little bit south of West Palm Beach. So West Palm Beach is the center of the county, and there's a lot going on there. Downtown West Palm Beach is always has things going on, whether it's the square or whether it's Clematis. So you are literally adjacent to downtown West Palm Beach. Also, it's next to Lantana. Lantana is it's one of the lesser covered. I got to do more videos on that town. It's one of the lesser covered towns. It's sort of a fishing village. It's a little bit artsy and a little bit like hippie-ish, but they do a fishing derby there and so forth. So so Lake Worth is in a very nice area. It's next close to West Palm Beach. It's close to Wellington, which you see a lot of people from Wellington come into the Lake Worth, and it's next to the fishing village of Lantana. Regarding the history of Lake Worth, it did not get off to a good start. It was incorporated somewhere around 1913, so it's still a relatively new town. And in 1928, there was a devastating hurricane that came through the area, and it wiped out a lot of things, including Lake Worth. And so this area was sort of devastated from the hurricane. And there's something else you might remember for those historians. That was right around the time of the crash, the stock market crash, and the Great Depression, which took place in the late 20s and in the early 30s. But Lake Worth has stormed back. It is now one of the centerpieces of Lake Worth. And you find tourism and activity here is flourishing here as we speak in 2022. And it truly is a town where we have two different sides to it. Lake Worth Beach, which is next to the beach, is very different than the western part. We have a lot of people moving to this area, in particular Western Lake Worth. There are some beautiful new construction communities in the area. We'll go through some of those later. But what you'll find is the eastern part is very different than the west. And one of the cons when it comes to living in Lake Worth is, well, if you were to Google crime in Lake Worth, you would see something that'll say it's high. It's basically when you're looking at the part that is east, in the downtown area. In that area, there are some areas that might be a little bit dodgy. So one of the reasons you need to work with a realtor, there's some areas in Palm Beach that are really important, and Lake Worth is one of them. Lake Worth, West Palm Beach are two areas in particular that you need to know, because you don't want to move in the wrong area. You don't want to get here and move to this beautiful place. Everyone talks about Lake Worth and find out you just picked the bad part of Lake Worth. So it is one of the cons is there are some negative connotations when it comes to crime in Lake Worth, Florida. One of the pros when it comes to living in Lake Worth, Florida is it's got a beautiful beach. It really does. One of the top beaches I find in the area. The pier is beautiful. The pier is really nice. I'm going to talk about all this area, the pier, and the beach part, Lake Worth Beach, throughout the video, because it is that stunning. When you go to the pier, you will see right off the end of the pier is a restaurant called Benny's on the Beach. It is a really popular restaurant. It is, out of all the county, it's a place that everyone seems to know, everyone seems to go. It gets very crowded on holidays. I warn you this, if you're going to Benny's on the Beach on like Mother's Day or Father's Day or some big holiday like that, you can expect to wait. It's so popular that it does get good crowds, especially on holidays. The good news about that is if you do have to wait, there's no more beautiful area to wait around when it comes to that. You could hang out for literally a wait of 2 hours. You can hang out and look along the beautiful beach. So again, one of the pros when it comes to living in Lake Worth, Florida is it's Lake Worth Pier and its beautiful beach. So continuing on the beach, I want to compare it to some of the other beaches. We have a nice pier. If you go a little bit north of Lake Worth, there's a place called Juno Beach. I've covered this in one of my other videos, in a couple of my other videos, Juno Beach. They both have great piers. There's a little bit different character. When you go to Juno Beach, it's a little bit more rural. And one of the things, my pet peeves is paying for parking in these places, because I feel that we pay enough in taxes, real estate taxes, that we don't have to. But in any event, getting over that, we do have to pay in Lake Worth, unfortunately. In Juno, you don't. So you'll find that in basically the piers, Juno Beach versus Lake Worth are similar, but it's much more rural up there. And if you go further, the other beach that I really like a lot is Jupiter Beach. They have a shorter pier. Those are two big fishing areas, and Lake Worth as well. Lake Worth has a really good fishing community. If you were to walk down the pier, what happens is they actually have someone there that watches it. It's just past Benny's on the Beach, the restaurant. You have someone who will collect money from you. You give them if you want to just walk the pier, you give them $1. If you want to fish, it's $4. So what you'll find is on a lot of these piers, you will see an early crowd of people fishing. But it's worth it to take that trip. When you go out to the end of the pier and you look around, you're like in the middle of everything. Actually, you feel like you're in the middle of the ocean because it's so far out. The pier is so far out. So it's worth it. So if you get a chance and you're in Lake Worth, I highly recommend taking a walk along the pier and go to the very end and experience its beauty. One of the cons when it comes to living in Lake Worth Beach is the weather. Now, you might say, the weather, seriously? Well, yes, I say that from a couple of perspectives. First off, if you do not like humidity, Lake Worth is not for you. We here in South Florida have a very subtropical climate, so we get one long rainy season, one long dry season, and we have a long summer. It is not any hotter here than it is in other parts of the country in the summer. That's a big misnomer. We get as hot as everywhere else. In fact, we will not get in the 100-degree area that a lot of places do because we have the afternoon thunderstorms that kick in. But one of the things about the weather that is concerning is, especially in the month of September, is hurricanes. So if you live in Florida, you will get used to being prepared for hurricanes. It's just one of the things we do. We always seem to be a target. The waters in the Caribbean are nice and warm, so it's conducive to around August, September, October. It's conducive to hurricanes. So not just that. Prepared. On the good side of that is the homes are built very strong. The building codes have gotten so strong over the years that the homes are built like fortresses here. But the insurance is sometimes a problem. If you build, and this is one of the things, if you reach out to our team if you have questions about this, if you build a new construction home, you will pay less in insurance and home insurance. If you buy an older home, it will cost you a bit more. Some of the insurance carriers have moved out of Florida, which is a shame. It's brought the premiums up. So you can expect to pay more when it comes to homeowners insurance when it comes to living in Lake Worth and Palm Beach. So staying on the homes aspect of it, you will see in Lake Worth, on Lake Worth Beach in particular, you will see condos, lots of condos. So that's one of the differences between East and West Lake Worth. You can go out to the pier and you look across the pier and you see a ton of condos. If you're interested in getting and looking at what that means, what the cost of those condos are, reach out to our team. It is sort of a seasonal crowd that does that, because if you go there, you have the Atlantic Ocean in your backyard, and it is a beauty. It truly is. So one of the things that people who do live in the eastern part of Lake Worth, one of the things that the allure of it is that they have beautiful condos off one of the most beautiful oceans and the beautiful part here in Palm Beach. Having said that, let me give you one of the cons when it comes to the condos today here in 2022. For those who don't know, I am on my board of directors for our homeowners association, so I get to learn lots of things and get to know lots of things when it comes to homeowners associations. I have a very strong relationship with one of the biggest home association companies here in South Florida, and the condo fees, the condo association fees, are rising. Part of it is due to insurance, and they are expecting to have association fees for condos go up somewhere between 40 to 100% next year, primarily because you probably saw what happened in Surfside in Miami. So they're trying to catch up with regulations and making sure the condos are up to date, and the fact that insurance is so high, and insurance is one of the variables you pay for when it comes to your condo association. So that's one of the things that you need to be really cognizant of when it comes to buying a condo in Palm Beach. Again, reach out to our team. We'd love to go through what that looks like. One of the pros when it comes to moving to Lake Worth, Florida is the weather. Didn't I just say that was a con? I did. So let me look at it from another angle. When it comes to the beaches, the waters here in South Florida are very, very warm. They have, on the beach, on Lake Worth Beach, they have a big sign with the water temperature, the air temperature. They have warnings such as, are there jellyfish out there and stuff like that. So what's great about the warm temperatures is that you can go swimming in January. The water is really warm in the depth of the winter time. If you go to other places, obviously if you go up north, you're not going in the ocean because it's way too cold. If you live in New England, New York, or any of those, Maryland, any of those coastal places up north, you are not going anywhere near going in the water. We look at even on the southern part of California, like Southern California, they've got beautiful beaches there, but they don't have what we have. Their waters are still pretty cold over there. So if you are a beach person and want to live and you want to go to the beach all year round, that is one of the pros when it comes to living in Lake Worth, Florida. One of the cons when it comes to that warm water that we have here is we get sharks. Believe it or not, we do get sharks. This is sort of, it's not like they're around all the time. If you go to my previous video on living in Lake Worth, there was a shark scare there. There was clips of a shark scare. I was there, and you can see the lifeguard calling everyone back because he had seen, thankfully they have lifeguards there, and they're keeping a constant eye on what's going on in the area in terms of the ocean and danger. Obviously, if someone's having trouble swimming as well, they do get sharks. We do get sharks here in South Florida because the waters are so warm. The sharks, they love that weather. Between here and the Bahamas, in the Caribbean, it's sort of like the haven when it comes to sharks. So you have to be a little bit careful when it comes to that. Just don't go in too deep. They normally don't come too close to the shore, but that's one of the things that you have to be a little bit careful if you live here in South Florida. And I would consider that a con. One of the cons when it comes to living in Lake Worth is the sharks. One of the pros when it comes to living in Lake Worth, Florida is we are close to Miami. We are part of, although we are far enough away, we are close enough to a large metropolitan area. I like to compare this to New York, where I'm from. New York City is the greater New York City area, the boroughs, is approximately 8.5 million people. Very condensed and so forth, between Manhattan especially. Here in South Florida, the Miami metro area is 6.5 million people. I don't think people realize how large it is. The big difference is that it's much more spread out here in Miami, in the Miami metro area. So although we have a large population, not quite the size of New York, but almost there as you go, 6.5 versus 8.5. We are much more spread out, and when you go into the city of Miami, it's certainly more concentrated. So the point I want to make on this is that because we are close to this, we have so many cultural aspects. If you want to go to plays, ballets, all that good stuff, it's easy to get there. We're, like I said, 64 miles to Miami. I would take my kids on Saturdays. When we first moved here, we loved doing it. Take a ride down to South Beach, down to Lincoln Road on a Saturday morning when there's no traffic. I would make it into Miami in about an hour, and it's fun. We would walk around Lincoln Road and go to lunch, and it's one of the best things. It's one of the great things. The other good thing is that we have a lot of sports teams too. So if you're missing your Chicago Cubs or your Milwaukee Brewers or your New York Mets, we have those sports here. So we have baseball. We have the Miami Marlins. Football is big here. Football is really big in Florida. We have the Miami Dolphins, and they even have hockey. For a place that has no skating except for the skating rings, certainly we don't get below freezing very, very often. Hockey is pretty big. We have the Florida Panthers. So again, one of the great things about this area is we have it's small enough, but it also has the big feel of a large metropolitan area. Go ahead, hit that like button there in the corner. What that'll do is that'll help get more and more people in to watch this video. It'll help get more and more people in to see this channel, and thusly it'll help us help more and more people, perhaps like you, relocate to this beautiful part of the world we call sunny South Florida. So one of the pros when it comes to living in Lake Worth, Florida is there's so many different areas within Lake Worth itself. I've been focusing a lot on the eastern part, and that's where a lot of the tourism happens and all that kind of stuff. But if you're moving here, look at the western communities. Most of the people that we work with that relocate here are looking at the western communities. They have, if you go pretty far west. Now, Boynton Beach, I did a video just recently on Boynton Beach. Boynton Beach and Lake Worth are sort of they border each other, and they're very in some places the towns are interchangeable. But if you go to the western part of Lake Worth, you have places on Boynton Beach Lake Worth called like the canyons, which if you go out to the western communities, which is along Lyons Road there, they have the canyons there. They have, like, one of the themes of Florida is they have like the canyons this, the canyons that, the Valencia this, Valencia that. A lot of the communities are named sort of similar names in these particular areas. So they have some really nice neighborhoods there. If you're looking for a gated community, that's where you're gonna find the gated communities. You have, in terms of new construction, there is a community out there. It's borderline, it is Lake Worth, borderline Wellington. It is called The Fields. That is getting close to getting sold out. It's the Vasta community. Next to The Fields is a community called Saddlewood, which is a townhome community, which for whatever reason, you guys out there, when we speak to relocation people from other states, generally people, for what it's worth, do not focus on townhomes. Most people seem to prefer single-family homes. But if you do want a townhome, that's a great community for it. There's another area nearby in Western Lake Worth called Town Commons. It's another great place for townhomes. So there's lots of options there. Also here from the single family side, there's a new community that just opened up. It's called Windsong. So you're going to look at a little bit higher prices for those. They're like in the $700s to $800s, something like that. But that's considered Western Lake Worth. And it's if you want to get in on the ground floor on some of these new construction, that's one of the ways to go. Just so you know, that is one of the best things that we do. At living in Palm Beach, Florida, we have very strong relationships with the builders. So if you have any questions about how new construction looks and the process, and it's ever evolving, we would love to help you, because that is one of the best things about what we do. We are a new home co-broker. So in our relationship with the builders are very strong, which will help you in the process. And we will be there from beginning to end when it comes to the process of buying a new construction home. So one of the pros when it comes to moving to Lake Worth, Florida is the schools. It depends on where you're looking at in the schools. I did a video recently, Don't Move to Palm Beach with Kids. And I highlight some of the stuff regarding schools. But within Lake Worth, there are some really highly rated schools. What's great about the area in general, as a whole, there are several different categories of schools, whether it's charter schools, magnet schools, and if you have any questions about the differences, please reach out to our team. We'll help you. You have to do the work, but we will help you, point you in the right direction on what you need to navigate when it comes to that, because the schooling here is, depending on where you're coming from, in general, it's going to be different than where you live currently. And on that school note, you don't have to necessarily live in where you're districted for to go to that school. Within the Lake Worth area, there are lots of surrounding communities. It borders Wellington. It borders Boynton Beach. So there's a lot of, it borders West Palm Beach. So there's a lot of different areas within Lake Worth. Lake Worth is a large, area-wise, a large town. And so if you have questions, it's like I said earlier, if you have questions about the right area in Lake Worth, it is important to work with someone who knows the area well. One of the pros when it comes to living in Lake Worth is it's got a downtown that's pretty nice. And I could put it on the con side as well, because there are some areas, if you walk away from the downtown side, that are not so nice, but it does have a nice downtown. The restaurants there are really good. Paradiso, I love that restaurant. Years ago, we belonged to a wine club, and we would do like wine pairings and stuff like that. And I was introduced through this club, great social. There's a lot of great social activities out here, I must say. But we were introduced to that restaurant because it's one of the high-end restaurants here in Palm Beach, and I think you would like it. And that's located in the heart of downtown Lake Worth. There's Dave's Last Resort. I love that place. So we have, because we're on the Atlantic Ocean, we get some great seafood, as you can imagine. Dave's Last Resort is no exception. So there's a lot of nice, unique restaurants around downtown, and there's lots of different ethnic restaurants. There's Mediterranean, there's this, that, the other thing. There's so many different, there's Peruvian, just off the top of my head. So if you want a place that has unique restaurants, Lake Worth is definitely, that's one of the pros when it comes to moving and living in Lake Worth, Florida. So one of the pros when it comes to living in Lake Worth, Florida is the water sports. If you're an active person and you want to do stuff all year long, this is the place for you. You can do, the water sports are great. You can, as you can imagine, we're off the Atlantic Ocean. The waters are warm almost all year long. So if you want to jet ski, if you want to kayak, if you're a boater, there's no better place. Florida is the boating capital of the world. So if you want to do any of those boating, surfing is great. If you want to do any of those water sports, this is a great area. What I find is Lake Worth, while it's good in some of the water sports, it is better, I believe, in northern part of the county. If you go to Juno Beach, Tequesta, the surfing, you will see more surfers up there, as an example. I'm going to do a video on some of the lesser known places in Palm Beach, and Tequesta is one of them. Lantana's another one, but we'll get to that one day. But if you are into water sports, some of the areas up there are terrific. But having said that, in general, Lake Worth is really good when it comes to water sports, and that's one of the pros when it comes to living in Lake Worth, Florida. So on the topic of things to do in water sports, so in Lake Worth there's a park called John Prince that they do all kinds of stuff. I've done it. I've gone there for when my kids were in Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts. They have activities in there. So you'll find a lot of organizations will utilize that park. Palm Beach State College, I forgot to mention that. Palm Beach State College is in the main campus is in Lake Worth. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff there. In general, you get to through the park and through other parks in the area. There are lots of things that you can do. They have softball fields. So if you want to, be active all year round, Lake Worth is a great alternative. Last but not least, Lake Worth is very artsy. I find that anywhere, especially downtown, which by the way, downtown is really walkable, which is fun. You can walk through the streets and check out things. If there's a wall that's blank without artistry on it, I mean like murals, they will paint it. There's a municipal, if you go downtown by the pier, there's a municipal swimming pool that you will see they painted that big wall with murals. So the other thing that they have here is they have the paint festival. They have a street paint festival. It takes place every year around the month of February. So they actually go into the streets and start painting the streets. So one of the great things about Lake Worth is it has a little artsy feel to it, and it's one of the benefits when you live and move to Lake Worth, Florida. Palm Beach, Lake Worth Beach, paradise here in South Florida.